think you're going to really enjoy today's video around mental strategies for dealing with stress. We talk about how to find the right therapist. We look at the things that Oprah loves, gratitude. We look at mindfulness, and even a couple of techniques, one around looking at the things we can control and the things that we can't, and how we let go of those. So yeah, today's packed full of things you can do to improve your mental health. Check it out.
Yeah, so in our second last video in this series, Stress Busting Anchors, that we've been talking about, we are going to take a look at those mental strategies that can help us deal with stress, or whether in the moment or just be prepared for stress and help us deal with them a little bit better. So when I say mental, I'm talking around your mind and emotions and sort of, I guess, brain-focused ideas. So number one is therapy. And I know you and I are both big advocates for this.
It's helped me a lot over the years, for sure.
Yeah.
Couple therapy, individual therapy.
Yeah.
Do it, kids. It's good for you.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on for ages about it, but yeah, definitely reaching out to someone. I am a little bit biased.
Yeah.
I'm trained as a counsellor, but you can also see a psychologist, but generally just talking and processing, because that can help in the moment dealing with kind of untangling and unraveling everything that's going on in your mind. Perhaps you might not have someone else that you can talk to safely, or you feel comfortable talking about things with, or if you're dealing with loss, dealing with grief, dealing with past stuff that comes up. Or perhaps it's something a little bit more significant. So yeah, look, it is really beneficial, and there's science to back that as well, like talk therapy. But look, a couple of times towards the end of last year, I went and saw someone just because stuff was coming up, and I just saw them a couple of times because I just needed that space and that perspective to just go, what? This is what's going on for me, get it out and get some perspective. And then I moved on. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be this long-term, on the couch, my past situation. So yeah.
No, it's good because I think sometimes people can think it is like laying on a couch, like while someone draws pictures. But for me it's been fantastic when I've been really stuck in areas. For now, my wife and I, or that's me personally. I mean, there's informal counselling, right, when it's like with a friend or something like that. But for me, which has been great, but sometimes there's things that I just can't work through with my mates or with Nell that, talking to a specialist, like someone who's got training and a lot more wisdom in that area has been incredibly helpful to work through things much quicker than I could by myself. Yeah. That's why I appreciate counselling.
And they're trained to help bring awareness and insight. So it's not necessarily that they're coming at you, and they shouldn't be coming at you as the expert in your life, because that's you. Yeah. But sometimes our friends will go straight to advice giving, or, I had this example too in my life. And, we can actually achieve a lot more and realize a lot more sometimes if we're not getting advice, but we're getting some key questions that help bring out awareness of something and get some insight. So look, friends are great, absolutely. But there's definitely things about counsellors and psychologists that it can go to a whole nother level. So
so I've just had a horrible experience with a psychiatrist.
That can happen too, yes.
So we didn't talk about this, but what would be your tips for someone when they're trying to find the right psychologist, counsellor, psychiatrist, someone to partner with in this space? What should people look for?
Good question. Look, first and foremost, the biggest thing is that you feel comfortable with them, that you feel like you've got a trusting relationship with them. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like you can be vulnerable with them, it's not going to work. So, and that sometimes is someone might rave about their counsellor or their psychologist, and you go and see them and it doesn't work for you. That's okay. So trust your gut instincts, trust yourself, and know that you do actually kind of need to have a good relationship with them and feel comfortable. So that is one of the biggest things about counselling or therapy, is to have that good relationship. And don't be afraid to ask questions around how do they approach things, or how are they going to work with you, or what their credentials are. Like, check their training. So you can be comfortable to ask questions and almost make sure they're right for you. So be bold enough to do that.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, look, it does help to get referrals from people that who do know those counsellors or psychologists personally.
Yeah.
That can always be a good start too. So, yeah, that'd probably be my key things.
Yeah, so don't be afraid if you've had 2 or 3 sessions and it's not working to try somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you want to find the right person that fits you. Yeah. So don't be afraid to stop. But for me, I think giving it a couple of sessions, because sometimes it can be hard work.
Yeah.
So you don't want to quit immediately, but after 2 or 3, if it's not working, not the right fit, find someone else, because different people fit. Different counsellors, different psychologists.
We all bring different flavours to how we work with people. So, but I think what you said there is key about not giving up after the first session either, because it can be hard work at the start, and it can actually. I always say to people, just be prepared that particularly that first session, particularly with some big stuff, it can be really draining. So try and create some space after that session to do something for yourself or have some time to process and understand that it is going to feel a little bit like a lot of emotion, a lot of draining initially. So, if that was to continue, then, obviously think about things. But that first session can be like that.
Totally. So skydiving, bungee jumping, something, extreme
if you've been.
First session.
Whatever works for you. So look, number 1, going and talking to someone. So secondly, a couple of little practices that you can have on a daily basis to help you manage stress is actually gratitude and self-compassion.
Oprah's been on this one, so it must be true.
Oprah and scientists. Would you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it?
With scientists, that's true, I believe it.
Look, it is, so practicing gratitude has actually been proven to boost your overall mood and satisfaction with life on an ongoing basis. So there is an exercise that you can do, and that's what they've based this off, it's just the 3 things. So 3 things that you're grateful for each day, and do that for a couple of weeks in a row, and you start to notice some differences. And it's a good habit to be in, even if it's the smallest thing. I'm grateful I had coffee today. If there's nothing else, like, grab onto that. But building that into your life over time has actually proven benefits to your overall well-being and how you feel about your life and how you handle things. And that can also just help you find the good in things, even when times are really, really crappy, because it's going to happen. So, it's not about putting on a Pollyanna sort of everything's rosy, but finding gratitude. And self-compassion is key as well. So, you know what, we're going to make mistakes, or we're going to have down days, and some days we're going to go, I dealt with that in a really unhealthy way, or I stayed in bed all day and watched Netflix and ate chocolate all day and did nothing else. And you know what? Have some compassion towards yourself. Like, think about what you would say to a friend in a similar situation. I've had this conversation time and time again with people where I listen to what they're saying about themselves, and I should this and I should this and I should that. And then I asked them, if they had a friend come to them, would they say the same things? And they'd be like, heck no. I'm like, so why do you deserve any less than what you would give to a friend?
I've never done that one, but I've heard you and some other people say it. Like, that makes sense. Yeah. Because they give themselves bad advice, but I'll play bad, negative scripts. Stories in my head, but what would I give to somebody else? It's probably a lot more positive than I give myself. So if I can reframe it like that, I think that's really powerful.
Like, just be compassionate towards yourself. And we often think, I should be at my best, I should always be at my best. And I personally think our best has different levels depending on what we're going through. So your best this day might look different to the day before. So and that's okay. It's actually okay. Sometimes your best is here, sometimes it's here. You've got to be a little bit compassionate towards yourself. So self-compassion. Attitude, number 3. Attitude. We love that word. So, and when I say that, I'm talking about looking at things like reframing a situation and maybe trying to look at it a little bit differently, or looking at, okay, I went through this, or I'm going through this really tough time, or I made mistakes, or I did this. turning that around and going, well, what are some strengths that have actually helped me through similar situations before? Or what am I learning out of this situation? Or what good can come of it? Like, yes, it's hard, but how can I put a different picture frame around this and see it a bit differently? And that also comes down to looking at your thoughts around the situation as well. So stopping and capturing those thoughts and going, are they helping me right now? Is this attitude, is this thought pattern, is it helping the situation? Is it helping me right now? And starting to shift perspective a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so just adjusting our attitude a little bit and reframing a situation, because, I mean, we all know, like with photos and paintings on the wall, different frame can make it look quite different. So, yeah, popping a different frame around what's going on.
That's cool.
So, one of the other things that I use quite regularly, a little technique, is called the circle of control.
Okay.
So this is about the fact that most of us spend more of our time and energy focusing on what we actually can't control. And we get so worked up, so stressed, so overwhelmed or upset over all these things that we can't control. So there's this little, we react out of that area. It's our reactive area. So there's actually a little thing called the circle of control, and an example is going to go up on the screen now that was sort of done during COVID. But in the centre, we have what is within our control. So in this example, they've got things like giving myself enough sleep, moving my body regularly, reaching out to friends, hand washing. So again, this was done during COVID. And then in the second circle, you put down either some control or an area of influence in your life. So you might be able to control or have some influence on your work schedule, or how well you sleep, or your health, or how often you talk to friends. So sometimes they might not be available. So these are areas that you've got some influence over, but not complete control. And then the outside circle is where you've got no control, but generally they are our areas of main concern. So getting COVID, or whether someone else is social distancing from you, or, you know, so just all these things that we have in our world that we're so concerned about, like that we actually can't have any control over. But that's where we spend most of our time and energy. So sometimes it can just be helpful to, when you're going through a stressful situation, kind of map that out a little bit and look at what's still within your control. So those areas of concern, out of control, go, okay, acknowledge them, but I cannot control them. I'm going to put them over in this box over here and focus my energy on what I can control. And that's actually really empowering to take back what you can control.
Sweet.
Because we can handle our reactions, right?
Totally.
So that's one little technique that I do use sometimes with people. Fifth and final one for the mental strategies, which we've talked about before, is mindfulness practices. So again, this has had so many proven benefits that if you are engaging in activities that are a bit more around stillness, meditation, prayer, contemplation, mindfulness, you know, it can actually accelerate healing. It can help you function better, reduce stress levels, build hopefulness, you know, a whole range of things. So again, we do come back to it a bit, but it can be really helpful. And especially even with sitting, you can actually, so we talked about self-compassion before. You can do mindfulness exercises around self-compassion. We've talked about sitting with difficult emotions. You can do mindfulness practices around how to sit with difficult emotions.
So where would people find those?
Yep, so we're going to pop a couple of links down below the video. But Smiling Mind app is one that I often refer to. It's really easy to use. It's got stuff for kids, for adults, for different situations, for work, for And it's got a whole range from beginner to a little bit more like if you've been doing that for a while. So I find that one really beneficial.
Cool.
There's a few other apps out there too though as well. So yeah, we'll pop those below the video. So those are our mental strategies for managing stress. So yeah,
Sweet.
give them a go. Let us know how you go.